Hi, this is your host Swapnil Bhartia, and in this special issue of TFR Insights for the Cloud Foundry Summit, today we have with us James Hunt, Director of R&D at Stark and Wayne. James, first of all, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Let's talk about Stark and Wayne. Initially, Stark and Wayne was purely about Cloud Foundry, but if you look at today's workload, everybody is using a mix of technologies, and it's not actually about the tool that you are offering. It's more about solving a particular problem, irrespective of tools. So, can you talk about what are the focus areas of Stark and Wayne, and are you still only doing Cloud Foundry, or you go out of that? And if somebody's using Kubernetes or something else, you help them with that as well.
As the industry and the marketplace has changed, we've adapted along with it. So we believe very strongly in the right tool for the right job. And while we do definitely still think Cloud Foundry is the best platform as a service, hands down, for application developers, the 12-factor way is a little bit restrictive in some cases. Things like lift and shift or data services are just a better fit on Kubernetes. We're also helping people with Docker and Docker Compose-based workloads, and just generally getting into with our clients and figuring out what is the right tool for the right job based on what they need to get out of their platform.
Can you talk about your participation at the summit? Are you doing sessions, demos? What are you doing?
Oh, we're doing everything. So we've got Dr. Chujiao Gao is running the Unconference tomorrow, along with Ivana. And I'm speaking at Unconference, actually, about the death of Cloud Foundry. Long live Cloud Foundry. We're also running the hands-on labs on, I believe, Thursday. I'll be doing one on GitHub Actions to deploy Cloud Foundry applications. And we were pretty instrumental in getting the baseline infrastructure up and running for Cloud Foundry for all of the other hands-on labs. So we'll be around. You'll see us.
Talk a bit about CF Protect. We know a lot about CF Push, right? That's the most powerful out there.
Of course.
But what is CF Protect?
So CF Protect is a custom command line plugin that we over at Stark and Wayne wrote that integrates with Cloud Foundry and a little piece of technology called shieldcloud.io, which is a software as a service based data protection backup and restore. What it does is it's the open source core of Shield from 4 or 5 years ago, available as a SaaS platform to people who don't necessarily want to run their own Shield. And what CF Protect does is it bridges the gap between the data services that you've spun up via CF Marketplace and bound into your applications via CF and that data protection realm. To make it easy and painless. So what it does is it looks at the VCAP services bindings of your application and kind of heuristically figures out what it knows it can back up based on present credentials, tags, other aspects of the service bindings. And then it goes out to your Shield Cloud account and it sets up data protection jobs to automatically snapshot those data services so that you don't have to. We think of it kind of like CF Push lets you not worry about how your code gets compiled, and CF Protect lets you not have to worry about how your data is backed up.
So if you look at Stark and Wayne, the focus area is basically helping customers, like consultancies there and a lot of other things are there. Can you also talk about, when we look at Stark and Wayne, what kind of company are we looking at?
As a company, we're very much a collective of technologists who really enjoy getting deep into problems and finding good, solid technical solutions for them. Sometimes it's not the technology we think it is. We started as a loose-knit group of people from the west coast of the US all the way into Europe. We've kind of grown a kernel of core consultants here in Buffalo. But really, we're an internet-first, cloud-first. I like to joke that we were doing remote work well before it was required based on current world conditions. And we've been helping our customers with that as well.
So what got you interested in data protection? Can you talk about the story behind that?
Data protection, or as you may know it as backups, is not at all a good, sexy area to work in. There's not a lot of interesting problems, I don't think, to solve, or people don't think so. But when we first started looking at a solution many years ago about how do we back up the data that's in either Cloud Foundry deployed services or even the bits of the platform that support Cloud Foundry, we realized there wasn't a ton of cloud native solutions. And what we ended up building was something based off of essentially pipes of data. And that abstraction, which worked really well for Unix and Linux, also worked well for data protection. What we ended up finding, though, was that it's about more than just keeping a copy of your data for a rainy day when something goes horribly, horribly wrong. And instead, it's really a way of transferring data between different points in time or space. We think of backups as something you do, and then if somebody drops a database or a data center catches fire, you still have the data that you otherwise would have lost. But you can also think of it for other workloads, things like data copies for test and dev integration. We use Shield and CF Protect to do upgrades of data services, similar to blue-green for application. And all of those types of what I would class as advanced applications of data protection just fascinate me and my team to no end.
If you look at data protection or data backup restore, I mean, this is a solved problem. Even if you look at Cloud Foundry marketplace, there are a lot of service providers that they offer their own snapshotting and restore mechanism. So how do you differentiate your service, and why are you bringing it when there is already a lot available there?
And most service marketplaces that you have access to, both on the public side, the PWS, the Swisscom App Cloud, the SAP Cloud, most of those data services are going to come with data protection built in. And so when you provision the service, you get some form of backup. But usually that data protection is either a bolt-on to the service or is primarily there to ensure that if the entire service marketplace goes down, your data doesn't go with it. They also generally tend to have their own bespoke portals, their own verbiage and vocabulary for how backups are configured when they run. And you're usually subject to the retention policies that are pretty severe from the service provider. What we think Shield gives you is the ability to set your own rules for how long you're going to keep stuff because you're in charge of the storage. You're paying the usage, so you get to keep those backups for as long as you want. And secondly, it gives you a uniform system for discussing and planning and strategizing about your backups.
Can you talk about who is using it, or based on these users, are there any interesting or unique use cases? Number one, that is kind of, you see, hey, a lot of people are doing the same thing with it. Or second is that we did not even expect people to use in that way. So talk about use cases.
Most of our use cases are pretty cut and dry, right? It's people with WordPress sites or blogging sites that have a single, a relational database like Postgres or MariaDB. And they're just trying to look for a simple, easy snapshotting solution, whether that's running on Cloud Foundry or not. We're actually partnering with Linode. The solution is based entirely in Linode. And a lot of Linode customers are doing backups against their Linode instances, which are just KVM virtual guests. But some of the interesting workloads or use cases goes back to that data migration, which I'm sure by now everyone has heard the news that PWS is shutting down its end of life, I believe as of the end of December. And we're working with people today who have data and application services in PWS and are trying to move them to other things, whether that's bespoke Kubernetes deployments or a different Cloud Foundry, either on-prem or another service provider. And using CF Protect plus the rest of the Shield Cloud catalog, we're able to easily move their data without too much hassle. So that's been surprising to see. It's one of those that was a theoretical until we actually saw a whole bunch of systems move.
James, thank you so much for taking time out today and talk about your participation at the Cloud Foundry Summit. I wish we could have done this in person, because Cloud Foundry Summit is a kind of place where you go out, it's a nice community when you hang out and do all those things. But I'm still thankful that we can do it virtually because of these technologies that actually most of the thing that we are actually using right now for this interview is powered by open source technologies, right?
Yes,
a lot of work that you guys are doing. So once again, James, thank you.
Thank you. Pleasure's all mine.